I want to talk about the philosophical significance of lying for years about the size of one's crowds. And I'm going to use a couple new examples here to show how one repeats lies that are unbelievable in order to show devotion to the cult leader. And then I also want to look at some historical examples of how lying about something as seemingly innocuous as the size of one's crowd actually connects to some pretty horrible movements over time. So let's start with a couple of new examples. This goes back to Trump at the beginning of his presidency immediately started lying about the size of crowds, specifically his inauguration crowd. And when his then spokesperson, a White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, did his first press briefing, Sean Spicer showed that in order to pledge allegiance to the cult leader, you repeat the lies. You repeat the lies even if they are obviously not believable. And Spicer came out and angrily said, this was the biggest crowd to ever witness an inauguration, and blah, 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 blah. And we all knew it was a lie, and we all knew, whoa, this is going to be a lot worse than maybe we imagined. We have continued examples of this with Donald Trump's recent New Jersey rally, a rally which had, at the very most generous, 20,000 people there. And that's like if you include people who were just going to the beach that day and weren't even there for the Trump rally. So on to Fox News goes Michael Whatley, the Republican National Committee chairman, and he talks about there were over 100,000 people at that New Jersey rally.
The other thing that we're seeing is that he is going into places like San Francisco and having very, very positive events. We were in Orange County, we were in Los Angeles over the weekend and had very great events down there as well. You talk about the Bronx event. You talk about going into New Jersey and having a rally with over 100,000 people. Yeah. You know, President Trump.
There was no 100,000 people. Now, their original lie was that there were 80,000 people. The 80,000 included people there for the rally and people who simply went to Wildwood that day because Wildwood is a beach destination and were even in the outskirts and didn't have anything to do with the rally. They were just like, how many people normally come to Wildwood on a weekend to go to the beach? That's it. And this is a lie that it went from 80,000 to 100,000 to more than 100,000. And then Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew appeared on Newsmax and said, you know, it may have even been 120 or even 130,000 people there.
You know what? Just speaking about New Jersey for a second, it was the biggest political rally in the history of the state of New Jersey. Well over 100,000 people, all over the boardwalk, all over the beach. You see the size of the crowds. Nobody can deny it. I mean, we don't even know the total, 120,000, 130, but it was huge.
120,000, 130, it was huge. So listen, just once more to get the numbers on the record. At most 20,000 people went, but that includes people who were just like on the beach behind the event. Some of them were, as you can see here, there seemed to be sort of like rides and some kind of amusement park of some sorts there. Many of those 20,000 weren't even there for the speech. Now, lying about crowd size for a politician might seem trivial, right? What about, did they, you know, do horrible things? Did they give away classified information to our enemies? Did they, whatever? Lying about crowd size comparatively could be trivial. But if you look at history, lying about the size of crowds is deeply connected to the tactics that have been used by authoritarian and fascist regimes dating back certainly 100 years, if not more. And when you lie about crowd size, you are employing a number of functions that are used to consolidate power, to undermine democratic institutions, to get people believing you rather than what their own eyes even tell them. And Trump has been doing this since day one of his presidency. When you undermine objective reality, because at the end of the day, we all see it, right? There's not 100,000 people there. On the screen right now, there's a few thousand. Even the 20,000 number is a stretch. We all see it. But when Trump and Jeff Van Drew and these guys, when they come in and they undermine objective reality, what we can all see with our eyes, this is something authoritarian leaders often do. They will lie about a verifiable fact in order to create a sense of confusion and distrust. They will insist the smaller crowd is actually 120, 130,000 people. And when they do this, they challenge the public's ability to discern truth from falsehood. And this erosion of objective reality is a tool that they then later use as part of their regime to craft narrative regardless of factual accuracy. I'll just draw. You're seeing something on the Weather Channel? I'll just draw on the hurricane map with my Sharpie, for example. It's a tool they use to later be able to lie to you about bigger things. And you'll go, well, I kind of had the wrong impression about the crowd size and I had the wrong impression about the hurricane map. Maybe Trump is right. The second way that lying about crowds is useful to authoritarians is that it allows them to establish control over information. They make themselves the source of truth to get people in line. And Trump has been overt about this. He has said, I tell you the truth. Don't believe what you are seeing and what you are hearing. And as sort of a third part to this, it also discredits media. So it's number one or two. It makes Trump the source of truth about facts, but it also discredits media and makes people skeptical about the messages that they get from media. And of course, being skeptical, healthily skeptical of media messages is a critical part of critical thinking. But the sort of unending skepticism and the assumption that you can't believe anything you hear in the news is something that Trump has been trying to seed and has benefited from. And then number four, when you start lying about seemingly trivial things, you normalize bigger and bigger lies. And we have many analogies to this. If you go to Nazi Germany, oh, David, sir, how can you? The Nazi regime was notorious for its propaganda, and it included lies about how popular was Hitler and how unanimous was public support of Hitler. And Hitler's minister of propaganda really mastered the art of repeating trivial lies to get them accepted as truth and then sell bigger and bigger lies to the German people. Soviet Union is another example. Under Stalin, the Soviet regime would often falsify the participation numbers at political events. It's exactly what Trump has been doing for 7 years now, or however long it's been. The idea being, make it appear as though there is far more support for the Communist Party than there actually is. And then example number three is North Korea. The North Korean regime regularly inflates figures about how many people went to state events. They inflate figures about the internal popularity of the Kim family. And the whole point here is create an illusion of total control and adoration, make yourself the source of objective truth, and exaggerate in order to be able to get away with bigger and bigger lies. So lying about crowd sizes is not this benign political fib. This is a strategic move. It aligns with historical tactics of these authoritarian and fascist regimes. It distorts reality. It builds a cult of personality around the individual. And it also normalizes dishonesty, because when he does get caught lying, and he does very often, his supporters and his followers also don't care about when he gets caught lying. So it's not this innocuous thing. We all need to understand it, and they continue to be on the same page about many of these lies. It is time to start thinking like voters and to make sure that kids understand the importance of voting, how it works, registering, ballot initiatives, because so many kids just have no idea. That's why I wrote the new children's book, Think Like a Voter. I can think of no better time and no more important group of folks to try to reach. The book is now available at davidpakman.com/book, where, by the way, you can get the first two books in the series as well. Think Like a Detective and Think Like a Scientist. Really important stuff. Donate them to local libraries, classrooms, read them with the kids. davidpakman.com/book.